is just the stuff. I mean, they didn't offer us this deal.
It was only 16 podcasts.
It's only 16, and I believe I'm double checking this now. I believe all 16 are owned by Spotify.
Yeah, Spotify Studios. Spotify Studios.
So this is just their content acquisition plan. Like, they couldn't go to YouTube and steal podcasts from there and put it on Netflix. So this is the thing that they found that they could acquire to see if it works.
To be fair, they could go on YouTube and steal podcasts and then train their AI models on it. They just couldn't,
make AI podcasts.
Yeah. Who do you think this benefits more, Netflix or Spotify?
I think Netflix.
I don't think it benefits either.
It's TBD for Netflix because we don't know if Netflix users will respond positively or negatively to it, I guess.
I think that Spotify is already set up to develop podcasts. They've been investing in making original podcasts for a very long time, so it's easy for them to sort of throw these things together. Netflix makes a lot of original content, but it's all TV.
Yeah.
They don't have the infrastructure as much to just like develop original podcasts.
But for Spotify, Netflix is the infrastructure of being able to play a podcast on your TV because Spotify doesn't have a way of doing that. So
exactly.
Spotify doesn't want to put it on YouTube because that's a competitor for video stuff. So this is just
more distribution for them.
Yeah, I don't know. This feels like when Mixer was like, let's get Shroud and Ninja over here and like just get these huge podcasts and you'll definitely want to come over and watch it, and then nobody watched any of it. And they just made a bag. So sounds like 16 video podcasts are making.
I don't know. Like Netflix is realizing that they started, with all the videos that they were making, and then they started making original content, and that was like their big sellers, that they had all these good shows. And then slowly all these other streaming platforms popped up, and a lot of these other streaming platforms were owned by the TV networks and the cable networks, and so they had sort of existing content that was more like TV content that was not as high quality. So Netflix was like, oh well, we're getting our lunch eaten by that. They made lower quality content, or at least, I don't want to say quality, but at least
probably not
easier
quality,
to produce,
lower production costs.
Because people don't always want to be like only watching TV shows. Sometimes they want to be using lower cognitive load,
background noise.
Are you saying Love Island is lower cognitive load?
Yes, I am, Adam.
It's more like exactly the Cube and like the what are those shows? The Cut or something? The Cut.
Guys, we have done 317 episodes of us sitting at this table. I don't know if we're the ones to talk about lower cognitive load.
Yeah, well, anyway, I don't know. YouTube is the biggest streaming platform in the world, so Netflix is just realizing we have to have feature parity with the biggest streaming platform in the world.
Yeah. On YouTube, users generate the content. On Netflix, oh god, how do we get the content?
Yeah.
Here it is.
That reminds me, real quick, side note, one of my friends was like, oh, I just got a new job. And I said, what is it? And she's like, oh, I'm making user-generated content. And I was like, isn't that just...
You're a user.
Content?
You're just making content as a user?
Isn't that... I'm making videos for the company. And I was like,
so
why did they call it user-generated content? Isn't that just you're a content producer for the company?
Isn't that the opposite of user-generated content?
Yeah, that's...
I would assume the company wants the users to think it's user-generated content. This person is. Well, don't they all do that? Like, have you not seen the weird,
like on Threads?
Or have you not seen the most recent Samsung campaign? That's a bunch of fake podcast clips. That's just one guy being like, "I just switched from iPhone to Samsung, and it's so much easier than I ever would have thought." Yeah, and the podcast guest is like
user-generated content.
Well, it's not always
super posing
clear
as user-generated
that it's not a real like it's like a vertical podcast clip.
Yeah. Ellis, you just set me up for the greatest segue ever. Because speaking of Samsung, thank you. They were about to, they have a new event coming up next week, the October 21st. They're going to detail more information about the Project Muhan Android XR headset. We made a video about this in January. It is now mid to late October.
Yeah, what is this more information?
Right, Tesla.
Just a release date, I guess?
I suppose price release date. Google, I'm...
You're gonna try again.
it does seem like interesting timing because Apple has just announced the M5 Vision Pro, and so now they're going to release their Android XR headset, probably running some Snapdragon something.
No, it's gonna have the M5.
Yeah. If you want a refresher on all the things that this headset will do, just look back at our video in January.
Yeah.
We did a demo of like all these Gemini features and all these Android features. It's like having an Android tablet on your face and all these gestures and the eye controls and hand controls. It'll be interesting to see how they compare. Again, it's like comparing an Android phone to an iPhone is one thing, but comparing an Android headset to a Vision Pro almost doesn't make sense. Like, I don't know if anyone's cross-shopping those things.
Well, and it's ironic because if Apple can't even figure out anything for you to do with their version of the headset, then how is Samsung gonna, like, everyone's making the glasses now.
Yeah.
Even Apple is, like, the rumor right now is that they put a pause on the low-cost Vision Pro to switch over to making glasses.
Mm-hmm.
So now that Samsung is, like, uber late to dropping this headset, it feels like they're just
That's my main
very late to it.
That's my main question looking at this is like Vision Pro has been in the super zoomed out grand scheme of things kind of a flop.
Yeah.
Like sales wise, it's not super successful. As far as like users, like there's not that many people using it every day. It's
I don't
just
think you
kind
need
of
to
a flop.
sugarcoat it. It's a flop.
Yeah, so Samsung's coming along, finally dropping their competitor to it. It's like, why? Is that are we just to have a parity with Apple's ecosystem, or do you really believe the headset is the future?
It reminds me of just all the different hype cycles we've gone through, like the metaverse and like all of these different hype cycles where companies will think, okay, we got to invest in this because this is what everyone is saying the future is.
Yeah.
And so they dump a ton of money in research and development into it. But just like the Nintendo Switch seems like the Nintendo Switch 2 seems like it was made for the COVID era because the whole thing is about the camera and like putting your friends' faces and social stuff. It seems like this was developed when everyone thought, okay, Vision Pro might be the future of computing, and now everyone's like, oh, it's actually the glasses.
It kind of does feel
No one wants to miss out on the next ship setting sail.
Exactly. It's
So why
better.
not throw some money at it.
Yeah, it's better to have a flop than it is to miss the wave.
Yeah, just in case it unflops or something.
Yeah.
This M5 Vision Pro is really going to take off, guys. It's really
Now that they have 10% higher pixel rendering, it's definitely going to take off.
Speaking of 10% higher pixel resolution.
Wow. This has been
Alley-oop.
This has been an iconic segue episode. What about 10? What did you want to say about 10?
Farewell to our friend Windows 10.
I was gonna say sayonara, but that's what you say when you don't care that something's going goodbye. And Windows 10 was like part of the cycle of like good and bad, and it was on the good cycle.
Yeah,
I think
because 8 was
don't
talk about it.
yeah, 8 was Windows 8.
They were like, Windows 8, everything's tiles. Next month, Windows 8.1, everything's Windows 7 again.
We really screwed this one up.
really didn't do that one right.
But yeah, Microsoft isn't. They officially ended support for Windows 10 this week, 10 years after its launch. And I mean, obviously, all operating systems do this eventually. 10 years is plenty of time. Windows 11 has been out for 5 years?
Is that true?
It's been out for a little while if someone wants to find the exact date of that. But I think I don't really have that much against Windows 11.
4 years.
To be honest, 4 years.
4 years.
Windows 11 isn't that bad, but Windows 10 was just better.
That's where it was at.
Yeah, it was where it was at. So what I thought was funny about this is 40% of Windows users today are still using 10. Valve says 30% of all PC gamers are still using Windows 10. There's a report. One of the big things about this that I think is really interesting is the switch to Windows 11 requires a lot of hardware requirements. So presumably a lot of businesses and enterprise companies using Windows 10 right now probably can't even upgrade to Windows 11. And in the enterprise world, like, people stay on old versions of operating systems for a long time for many reasons. Sometimes it's software, sometimes it's just they bought a batch of computers and they want to run them until they die. I worked
Or
at
just don't want to break any compatibility with stuff.
Yeah, like government. They just run the same stuff forever.
I worked at a company in like 2015 and we were still using Windows XP on like 20% of the computers
feel like-
we had in the office.
Yeah, I feel like XP was pretty famous for that. Like there are so
Yeah,
many
there's
old
still stuff
enterprise
running
that
XP.
just runs XP and it's bulletproof and it's just never gonna break.
And it was
fine.
the greatest operating system ever made.
That's pretty
I
cool.
skimmed
Even
my
made props
XP.
about it.
I told you guys this. I skinned my XP to look like Vista. Because Vista looked good, but at least at the time.
Yeah.
It looks kind of cool.
Didn't age very well.
This is like liquid glass of 2000, whatever it was.
Yeah,
it kind of looked cool, but I did not have the required GPU and RAM to upgrade to Vista, so I got a skin that I might have done a video about this. That made it. I definitely did a video about this. Made XP look like Vista. And it was not a good idea.
Remember,
it took a ton of system resources, but it looked like Vista.
Remember when Microsoft launched Vista and they had the big party and they had like the casket with like ripped to Apple? It was like Apple's funeral. And
What?
Yeah, and it was when they launched
Oh, I missed that.
Vista.
Jesus.
It was like, oh.
That's cool.
Don't you guys know about the
You played
cycle?
those cards wrong. Yeah, the
That's
cycle wasn't established at that
Yeah, it was still early.
Still early.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of was this. Was it the start of the cycle? It felt like. Maybe not
Yeah.
the start, but
The
yeah.
big- Because Windows 2000 was solid. And 2000 was right before
So XP was goated, and then it went bad with 7.
No, 7 was good.
Sorry, bad with
Bad with
Vista,
Vista.
good with 7, bad with 8. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's kind of the beginning.
Good with 8.1.
Wow.
And 10.
Well, yeah. So they will be offering. It's weird. They like closed it, but they're going to be offering. This is very confusing. Another year of security support for a payment for some people. Also, not only enterprises. Usually, it was only enterprises that could do this, but it seems like they're offering it to some users, and it's kind of confusing. You can get a year of extended support for $61. Europe fought this, and it has to be for free. I believe also in the U.S. you have to download something called Windows Backup, and you do not have to in Europe. And then there's, I'm pretty sure you can do it for 3 years with like compounding payments on top of it if you want to continue to use, which a lot of these enterprises are probably going to have to do because that's still cheaper than upgrading computers. But what I found the most interesting is I looked at the market share. We are going to talk about percentages. I was just looking at a couple of like what versions of Windows are still being used. Apparently 9% of Windows desktop users are still on Windows 7. 0.3% are still on Windows XP.
There you go.
0.3 sounds really small, but that is still thousands of people.
Mm-hmm.
What I want to know is 0.5% of people are on Windows 8. Are you guys okay?
I don't think
Who is still on Windows 8?
Yeah.
Your computer can't run Windows 10.
Why'd you go to Windows 8?
What if you had
They probably
Windows
bought a
8
computer.
A Windows 8 computer?
Like a Surface or...
I worked at a recording studio that we could not upgrade to Windows 10 specifically because the motherboard. We had a beefcake PC, totally spec'd out, but the motherboard wasn't compatible with Windows 10.
I'm interested in how many. I mean, I know this is silly, but Windows 10 released in 2015, so presumably the computer has to be at least 10 years old. And running Windows 8, it would have to be a beef of a computer in 2015 at like the latest to still be running. I'm sure it's out there, but I just
remember the conversation at this recording studio where it was like, we have a $10,000 computer that is totally fine, that is now unsupported specifically because the random motherboard manufacturer we went with. I don't remember who made it, but
I have to assume some of these are also like the computer that runs the security camera system.
Yeah, I worked at a hospital years ago that was using XPs because everything there, like, it's not even that the hardware isn't compatible, it's that the data is so sensitive that they don't want to do anything to lose it. So you can't, like, mess with it in any way unless you want to invest heavily in transferring it and backing it up and doing that whole
Also
thing.
very funny that the data is so sensitive they're using something that hasn't had a security update.
You'd be
Well,
surprised
it's
how
that-
sensitive data is just sitting on an old
It's probably
server
also like
somewhere.
locally or something.
Sometimes it's that, or it's like